start slowly with some introduction, and hopefully more people will join soon. So this is our fourth webinar, and it's organized by Cyprus Science Communication Cyprus. The co-founder and director is Katerina Kauri. Unfortunately, she cannot join today, and also me. And it's also very nice to have Helen Garrison here, who will be very helpful with the webinars. So I would like to thank you all for being here, but a special thank to our speakers. We're very excited actually to have 4 speakers today. It's very nice, and it's also very interesting because they are both from industry and universities, so we will have different perspectives, which is very useful and helpful for the new SciShops. I would like to start with an introduction of our speakers. I'm gonna say some things about the 4 of them, and then you will start presenting. I'm gonna start with Georgi Malovic from the University of Szeged and community-based research. Hi, and community-based research for sustainability associations, or CRS. Georgi is a researcher and social activist with background in regional studies, and he has been interested in merging scientific understanding with social impact for more than a decade. Since 2010, he has been heavily involved with participatory action research our processes with and for marginalized communities for empowerment and social justice, both as part of action and participation-oriented funding research projects, for instance, the EU FP7 PRARES. And as researcher at the University of Szeged Faculty of Economics and Business Administration Research Center, independent of any project-based funded activities. His main interests are related to the transformation of the conventional scientific approach to a more democratic and inclusive process serving the social goals of social justice, most of all for voiceless, marginalized social groups, and environmental sustainability. He believes that theoretical understanding, honest, critical reflection, and practical experiences are all needed for meaningful knowledge problems and social change. He considers both SciShops and participatory action research as useful approaches that contribute to such a scientific and social transformation. So thank you very much, Georgi, for being here.
Thank you.
Our second speaker is Georgi Pataki. He's a senior researcher in Environmental Social Science Research Group, short ESSRG. Okay, you're unmuted, great. He's an ecological economist, graduated as an economist, and has a doctoral degree in organization and management studies. He has been developing a commitment to action-oriented, collaborative, and participatory research for 2 decades, while experimented for and with diverse societal actors. Over time, he has gained research experience in the fields of biodiversity and ecosystem services, sustainable rural development, organization sustainability, social entrepreneurship, and innovation. And he believes in a critical and transformative perspective regarding the role of science in society. Thank you, Georgi, for being here. Our third speaker is Andras Martoni, that we all know from the summer school. He's the head of Corvinus Science at Corvinus University of Budapest, and he holds a master's degree in environmental landscape management and agricultural engineering. So thank you for being here. Nice to see you again. And our fourth speaker is Janka Horvath, from who's a SciShop coordinator at ESSRG, and she holds a master in human ecology. Thank you, Janka, for being here and for helping with the organization of this webinar. So I'll give now the floor to our speakers to present us some very nice and very interesting examples from the successful industry and university-based SciShops that they are managers. So,
okay.
Maybe I should actually, because we have 4 speakers, sorry for this. So it's probably, do you want to start with Georgi Malovic, probably?
We decided that if it's okay with you, that we will start here in Budapest.
Of course. Yeah, please.
And I already shared the slide, which is tries to be a very simple explanation of our operating model or how we work. Definitely, it's in real life, it's a bit more complex. So it's, as each model is just try to crystallize and mirror what are the most important features of our SciShops-like activities. And ESSRG is the Environmental Social Science Research Group, which was born 15 years ago, actually in a university setting. The biggest agricultural university of Hungary hosted our research group, and we started our SciShops activities there. But after some years of experience working, trying to kind of revolutionize a bit or transform university operations through these SciShops activities, we confronted the fact that it's just not working. So it was not a receptive environment 15 years ago in the Hungarian academia to establish something which institutionalizes science-society interactions. That's why we went for an independent organization, which was born 10 years ago. This is ESSRG as a company, a research company, and we are completely free and manage our day-to-day activities, projects, financing, and so on. But the whole mission of ESSRG is coming from trying to change science-society relations, trying to transform it towards more dialogue, towards more democratic participation, possibility for more democratic participation for everyone involved in knowledge generation. And what we would like to share with you, with Janka, my colleague, the two concrete cases which we are working on. One case is coming from the early history of ESSRG, and the other is the recent history. And through these two stories, we would like to convey the message, how we work, how we think, what we value, and how we think about SciShops. So we will flash some lights on this model through these cases, hopefully, and make it more understandable. But we are very open to any questions and discussions because the stories will be quick. We have not so much time. So one story is coming from a very disadvantaged region of Hungary, where we were doing research, conventional research for years. So we had some actual existing relationships. This is a very special part of Hungary where nature is highly valued, but the social-economic situation of the people is very bad. So it's a complete contradiction that how come that something, the natural capital is so important and tourists are coming and lots of European programs are coming, but the local population is never benefiting for it. So this was a situation where we as researchers were astonished that we have to do something because we are also just taking benefits through research from this area, and what we are giving back. That became a crucial question when we confronted with the bad situation. So that's what you see done in this model, that we had an existing research relationship within this field. We had very good relationship with the people. They became, through conventional research, aware of their knowledge needs, their problems, and meanwhile, we developed the willingness to engage as researchers much more with their life and making it better. So what we did actually is that we turned to them and offered our services, so to say, to serve their immediate knowledge needs in order to design something which gives them a better chance to live a better life and apply actually for EU funds to directly and gain something for rural development, and not just becoming proactive and not just waiting for others to help them. So we designed together research on rural sustainable rural development, and actually the aim was to develop a rural strategy together, co-creating it through the input of scientific knowledge of ours and their local knowledge living in the landscape for decades. So we designed a process where they could join in as co-researchers, And here you can see some pictures of this process. So there was very much extensive field work, of course, individual interviews, transact walks together with the farmers, foresters, fishermen, and also a lot of sitting in groups and working out a rural strategy where they did together with us the analysis, the data collection, and they did with us basically the writing up of the whole rural strategy. So that's why they could feel that their knowledge is in, their wishes are engaged, and the whole strategy is not just coming from expert knowledge, which is the typical case, or was the typical case in Hungary at that time, but builds on their immediate needs, their future visions, and so on. So the whole research project was participatory. We as a team was facilitating the research process, and also we were engaging other knowledge holders who solved some immediate problems like how to establish rural development, non-governmental organization which serves their needs, and so on. So that was research part. And if you look at the outputs, here you see some pictures of some of the outputs which is unconventional from a research or scientific point of view. Basically, we have the local community to establish a nature conservation trail that you see on the pictures, the signs of the trail. And this was developed together with the local community, with our students. We used the geographical information system support, we used our nature conservation knowledge, and we used the local people knowledge to put everything together in these signs and in the field. And the trail is still operating and, of course, contributed to the tourist attractions of the landscape. And that was partly a scientific work and partly based on local knowledge integrated into the school programs as well. So the students are using it through their education in the local primary schools. And it had some important contribution to the national park, which is operating in this area of Hungary. Also, what you can see, the big picture, is it's in Hungarian, but it's called that Local Product Festival, which means that we were mapping together with the locals all the local craftsmen and their products, and for their wish we have them organize the first local product festival, which is still going on, so they can kind of valorize their local skills and knowledge and show to tourists or the other interested regions. And they can also make some actual market benefits from it, revenues, and so on. And the third picture you could see is a cucumber farm, which is very special because it's run by the ethnic minority in this region, the Roma people. And we also we were also working them as researchers, as action researchers, and we designed, because of their previous knowledge and skills based on cucumber farming, we designed a new cucumber farm. We helped them to acquire land and brought in some business connections also from a process company who manufactures the cucumber. And now this was actually a Roma cooperative, so they established a cooperative and which benefits all the community members who are engaged in this farming. So that was actually the outputs. So the main outputs are not just research outputs. We have, of course, PhD dissertations coming out from this research, scientific publications, but the most importantly, as the pictures show, we love to work towards more tangible benefits, beneficial outputs for the local community. And now we turn to a new story, an ongoing project, very quickly, which my colleague Janka will introduce to you.
Yes, hi everyone. So my story is a little bit different from Yuri's case, because there was no existing research relationship or research project around green care services within ESSRG. So we started from the beginning, and I don't know if you are familiar with this term, green care service or green care. These are therapeutic approaches which integrate the power of nature, so like animal-assisted therapy, social farming, healing garden, these kind of things. I hope that you understand it. So it was just a strong impression that we should, I don't know, deal with this kind of thing, and we were really interested in this field. So we mapped the key players throughout Hungary, and then we conducted interviews with them. So those green care service providers who try to integrate the power of nature in their work. We asked them to tell us what their research needs concerning their fields. And then we organized 5 science cafes. Here you can see a picture with psychopedagogies. Yes, I think she is Noemi. She works with dogs and hamsters in order to solve behavior problems, children's behavior problems. And so we organized 5 science cafes in order to introduce these examples to a broader audience and to collect the citizens' research needs concerning these fields. So, and it was so we organized 5 science cafes, and I think they were really successful. You can see that there were a lot of people, so our anticipation was quite good, that it was a great topic, and it was good that we started to deal with this. And then we reviewed the research needs or the claims, and we realized that the most articulated claim was to do impact evaluation researches, which would verify these the effectiveness of these therapeutic approaches and the healing power of nature. And in parallel with this, we were invited to a grammar school near Budapest to establish a garden school inside the school courtyard. And this fieldwork enabled us to just conduct impact evaluation researches, and we tested a lot of kind of approaches. We did questionnaires, we did photo voice evaluation research, we did facilitated group discussions. So we tried to examine how the students' relationship with each other and with nature change during the journey, during the creating and establishing and planning together a garden, a school garden. And we actually involve human ecology university students in this work, plus students from pedagogy and psychology faculties, from students from this faculty as well, and in order to measure the psychological changes of the students. And then the outcomes are more human-centered than scientific, I think, because we perceive that the students' attitude changed towards how they connect to nature and how they collaborate with each other and how they sense or their relationship with nature. Yes.
So basically, this was the 2 stories which we could share: an ongoing project measuring the impact of nature therapy, and our previous experience with a very big action research project with 9 villages for sustainable rural development. And now we think that we can pass on the mic to our colleague in Budapest, which will be a university-based science shop story. I just share the new slideshow with you, and András, you can start.
Hi everyone, nice to see you again, nice to meet you again online. I see the connections between the projects because my love dogs, cucumber, hamsters, they love cucumber too, so I think there's a lot of synergy. Now I'm going to tell you a bit different story, the story of, oh yeah, I'm going to set the video right. The story of Corvinus Science Shop. So it's a university-based science shop, as Julie mentioned, and I wanted to start out for you to see the what's the institutional background of the organization. So this school is basically a school of economics and has 3 major faculties. The largest one is the Corvinus Business School. And the science shop is integrated in the dean's office. We have a huge support from the dean. She's very supportive. She's very in favor of the science shop initiative. And being integrated in the admin gives us the opportunity to not be linked to either one of those institutes like HR or like leadership management, organizational management, or I don't know, decision sciences. We can receive community questions in all the areas that the institutions, the internal institutions can cater for. So we think that this is an asset. And you can see the science shop team members. Yuri is also a founding member, and we also have one more who are not in this picture now. These 4 are the active ones, Rika, Andrea, Judith, and myself. And I wanted to point out, because I mean this is for your science shop planning purposes, so I wanted to point out that I'm the only one who's a paid staff. Which means that Judith, Andrea, and Rika as lecturers and researchers, and also Rika as a strategy manager, they all contribute their time, their effort, their knowledge on a voluntary basis at the moment, because the university cannot compensate them for their work in the science shop. So this is beyond what they already have done in the past. So what's the logic behind setting up a science shop on a business in a business school? Basically, the university has 3 missions. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, especially those of you who also university-based. So it has 3 main missions: education, research, and the 3rd mission, which we put as working and learning together with the community. And who do we mean by community? Because this can also vary. Who do you work with? Who do you partner with? Who do you want to work for and with? In Corvinus Science Shop, we identified these 4 groups: so civil society organizations, sure, social businesses, informal community groups, and active citizens. So you can tell that the 2 last ones are they are not institutionalized. They don't have a necessary. We don't want necessarily to work with an organization, a formal organization. We can also work with informal groups, or even a active citizen if the question that they have is for the public benefit. So here are some of the examples, but just really few of them that fit on the slide. We actually, in the past 2.5 years, we worked with 40 organizations, 40 community partners, as we call them. And the way, and I'm aware you all know how you define SciShop for yourself. I just wanted to show you the rationale of how we sort of communicate ourselves within the university setting and also for our other stakeholders. So this is what we say: Corvinus SciShop channels community questions into education and research. And so the question comes up: why and how? The whys have two major parts. First, and this first one is more for the faculty staff, so the lecturers and researchers, because it's a very easy sort of selling point, if I can say that the questions of business management are just as relevant operational areas of civil society organizations as of companies, which means that the questions of HR, organizational development, marketing, communication, logistics, supply chain, these are all questions that emerge in a civil society organization as well. So when it comes to teaching, when it comes to education part, project-based learning, for example, project-based learning methodology can use a lot of case, we call them course projects, but like these are case studies that the students do. The course projects are basically student team tasks that the students do within the framework of a course. So it's part of their task to accomplish that, to get a grade, to get a mark at the end of the course. And so that was a very easy sell. That was a low-hanging fruit for us to get known and to get wide and broad on the faculty, because a lot of lecturers are in need of real-life projects for their courses, and I'm very, very happy to work with the civil society organizations. They feel that the student get an extra motivation working with people and organizations that work for social good and environmental benefits. So this is a very easy sell for us, and I'm going to show you the numbers. But just wanted to also point out, I mean, all of the students we engage with, they really come back to us and tell us that they really appreciate that they feel that what they work on is going to be implemented, or at least will be considered by this civil society organization to be implemented. Whereas if they work with companies as the usual marketing assignment or marketing plan assignment, that's often disregarded by those companies. And if you look at the not the courses or not the education part, but you look at the thesis work, like how do you find thesis topics? It's also a benefit that companies are often secretive. They don't like to give out data. They don't like to share information. Where civil society organization, if you work with them, they are more than happy to share, and they engage in the processes. This is like going towards real co-creation. But we are aware this is not the most ideal SciShop concept. This is our way to do SciShop in an educational setting. And yeah, I put on the slide non-domain specific skills and competencies. This sort of selling point is important for us. It's like, of course, working on a project, it develops your time management, your leadership skills, your teamwork, etc. So the second part of the why is more for the leadership. For us as a business school, since the 2008 economic recession, the responsibility of business schools have been pointed out as an important topic, and more business schools are aware that they have a task to educate responsible future leaders and citizens. So getting the students in partnership with community partners who have a very, very different mindset on the world, yet a very valid mindset, is beneficial. I think I'm going to be quicker than I am now to speed up and leave some more time for Jörg as well. So just to give you a hint, we are strong in education and not yet strong in research. So we are 2.5 years old, so we're still developing. We had 94 course projects, as I mentioned, with over 800 students. So that's really good. 3 thesis works, 3 thesis topics. That's the how. And just to give you a few slides, our major and biggest partner, Ferencváros Community Foundation, we are based in the district of Ferencváros, so this kind of locality and the university being a good and active local citizen is an important notion. So this is a social return on investment calculation group for social business that delivers. So it's a delivery business that works with people with autism. And you can see that on the CSR course, the NGO even took the students to different locations, explain like the neighborhood. And this is also, again, extremely important to us. Get out of the university setting, get to know your place. A service marketing course, what the students made a marketing plan, communication plan, how this social business can grow. I think, I mean, I can go deeper, but I think I'm running out of time. So if you want to talk about it, we can do that in the Q&A. And just to get also to say, we do a lot of networking, we do a lot of engagement on the faculty with staff. So for example, we have an event called Research Week every semester, and we invite civil society organizations to come and show what they do and see how the faculty staff the lecturers can work with them to find matching points. And this was our grand opening 2 years ago, and we're just going to have the follow-up event of that next Wednesday. So wish me luck with that. So thank you. I'm sorry if I took more time. On to you, Yuri.
Thank you. I will also try to share my slides quickly, and I will be very quick. I promise to be very quick, okay? Just 1 minute. So basically, we are working at Szeged, at the University of Szeged. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so we are working at the University of Szeged, and indeed there are 2 organizations that are important here to mention. One is a CSO, it's called Community-Based Research for Sustainability Association, and the other is a university unit. It's called the Research Center of the University of Szeged, Faculty of Economics and Business Administration. The few of us who are part of this CSO, we have our full-time job here. Although it's called Research Center, it's a conventional university unit in the sense that we both have to teach and do research on, and this is what we can call or name as the SciShops initiative. And we have the community that we work with. Here are a few logos of a few CSOs that we work together with. Basically, we work with CSOs. The CSOs can be either organized or non-organized informal community groups also. We work together, all together with around 20 organizations. And two things that I would like to emphasize here that is important concerning our activities. The one is embeddedness. So it was a long process. Most of us were involved in activism earlier on, and it was a long process until we got embedded in the local network of CSOs, and now we have established relationships, and we can turn to each other with these CSOs in case we feel necessary to cooperate or any demand for cooperation. The other one is responsiveness. So as an organization or organizations that define them as science shops, we aim to be responsive towards the needs that we experience from CSOs when we meet with these CSOs and when we talk to these CSOs. What are the roles that our Science Shop initiative play in these cooperation processes? We cooperate with the CSOs in different, among different cases and with different regularity. The first is research. So research component is important for us, especially those who are seated at the university. Usually we work with qualitative methods, and we are also publishing. Well, there are projects about which we publish, and there are also projects about which we do not publish, but basically publishing is a necessity for a few of us as we do have these academic positions. Anyhow, research is very important for us in planning actions and in planning the ways of cooperation, because we would like to be, as a science shop and as cooperative researchers, rather conscious about what we are doing and rather reflexive about what we are doing. The second one is organizing and facilitation. The two pictures here are related to two projects. The small meeting were organized by us just last week. It's a meeting of CSOs that work with disabled people and of employers who are seated in our city. We had a project with the deaf and hard of hearing people, and it came out from this project, this cooperative research project, that the main problem for these people is autonomy. They cannot be autonomous, and one of the key problem concerning autonomy is the lack of job opportunities. Hungary has a very bad performance in this respect, and it turned out that it's also a problem for people with other disabilities, including blind people or people with mobility disabilities, and so on and so on. So we organized such meeting. The second picture with more participants, it's about our service learning course. We created a service learning course when we connect CSOs that have a need for or volunteering with university students. And during the last semester, or this semester indeed, this is from this semester, we managed to connect approximately 70 students with approximately 15 CSOs, as far as I remember. These two pictures also show flexibility. So flexibility is very important. Some CSOs, at least in our case, are more interested in common research projects. Others are more interested in just facilitation, while others are only interested in having access to the resources of the university. We are trying to be flexible based on relatively conscious research processes that we try to institutionalize. And activism is also very important for us. We are involved also in participatory action research processes. One of these is with stigmatized, segregated Roma communities, and this picture is from a so-called afternoon school that was established in 2013 for Roma kids, and a few of us work there also as activists. And also this process is a lot broader than this afternoon school project itself. So we are activists in this process. We volunteer as volunteers for the afternoon school, but also we are advisors for local Roma political representatives and leaders, and supporting their interest representation towards the city council, and so on and so on. And what are our challenges? One is the legitimacy within the academic institutional environment. Yuri already mentioned it in his first speak. We think that, so legitimacy is a difficult issue, and we do not have any paid staff. I think this is the second a picture that basically we are all volunteers in this respect, although we are paid as academics, but we could also deal with other kind of research processes that are less time and energy consuming, although for us probably also less meaningful, or necessarily or definitely less meaningful. Publications are very important. This is why I put this Action Research Journal picture there. Publication for us is very important in gaining legitimacy in higher education, because higher education do not really care about social impact, but rather cares about whether we are able to get or grow up to these conventional academic standards or not. Therefore, resources are a problem for us. This is the second point at the slide, especially compared to the extent of problems and needs. So as we are in contact with more and more CSOs, more research questions emerge, more potential points of cooperation emerge, and no resources are appointed to us. And related to our, this is related to also to our CSO. Basically, we are all volunteers in our CSO, and it would be a huge struggle to upgrade the CSO to a professional think tank like or activist like CSO to apply for tenders and so on and so on. We are not at that phase yet. And last but not least, for me personally, empowerment is a huge challenge, especially when we work with the most vulnerable groups. These kids on the picture, they come from the poorest and most stigmatized and also segregated families from the local city, and it's a huge challenge for us to work for and to move towards empowerment. So basically supporting them to be able to have an easier life than their parents had. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I'm also looking forward to your questions.
Thank you all the speakers for this great presentation that they gave. I think we don't have enough time, so we should fast move to the questions. It would be good if you have questions to just present yourselves, say your name and your organization, and it would be good if you can also turn on the cameras if it's possible. So let's start with the questions. Can see. So if you just turn on the microphones, I can see if someone has a question actually, or raise hand. Well, until I see. Oh, Helen, great.
Hello. Hi, thanks very much. That was really interesting. I think we got 3 for the price of 1. So it was really fascinating hearing about all the different types of science shops in Hungary. I had a question relating to the very first one, so the ESSRG in the first project you presented. I know you said, because obviously big question about funding and things like that, and you mentioned that you got EU funding for the rural project. And I just wondered, when did that funding kick in? Did it fund the process, or was it funding sort of the ideas that came out of that process? And also, just to find out a little bit more about who you engaged in that process. So was it just people working in those kind of in that environment, or was it did you involve sort of ordinary citizens and as well?
Right. Thanks a lot for the question. I mean, the funding was a very interesting part in this project, because our first funding was coming from a foundation, a private foundation, which was completely aware of the nature conservation value of the area and wanted to finance nature conservation projects there. And they approached us whether we could work for them. And we were kind of put a kind of pressure on them that, okay, we are happy to engage with nature conservation projects, but only with the condition that the local community will also benefit. So let's design nature conservation in a way which is more community-based and participatory. And that was kind of a long negotiation, and it was going on during the whole project, because they were biologically oriented very much, this foundation, and they were not so familiar with what this community engagement means. But finally we could convince them. So the whole design process for this participatory research, which ended up with a rural strategy, sustainable rural strategy for the region, was financed by this organization. And it was so successful that after this process, this foundation, private foundation, started to directly finance some local people, local initiatives. So that was even a nice outcome which we valued, because we as kind of mediators, we can kind of step away a bit and let them do their job. So this type of empowerment was in that sense successful, because the locals and some of the locals could use our contacts and establish their own organization, their own projects, and manage it. And we could only support if they wanted us to support it. So, and the EU funding was, maybe I was a bit ambiguous on this. So we produced the rural development plan in order to enable this local community to apply for rural, EU funding later on, which was happening, of course, partly through the Hungarian government and partly through this the region itself, how it organized finally itself. But we were not involved anymore with this project, where they started to implement actually from EU money what they planned together with us in their rural development strategy. And yeah, the engagement process, I'm not sure I exactly got your point, but definitely it was a very imbalanced, also temporarily and also in terms of social groups. So it was not so evident that immediately everyone joined the participatory process, but we had to be very proactive and especially towards the vulnerable groups who are not used to be engaged in any process, because they used to be left out. And that was also kind of tension with the local elite also, that we were not, they recognized that we are not just supporting their wishes, but we were directly contacting groups which typically the local elite was not taking note of. So in that sense, partly we ended up with not just nice outcomes, but we raised some tensions, because we, for example, we started to work with the Roma minority, and that was not seen as something which is so nice a step from the non-Roma elite, especially that those Roma projects were very successful in terms of employment. And that was kind of making some jealous. So also temporarily there was kind of a dynamics that some people were so much kind of empowered and joined in that they changed their work, employment, they left their previous work and started to do this community work, and family relations changed. So lots of social changes we could see, and lots of types of engagement and change in community and individual life. So if I've not answered something, please go on.
No, that's great. That's really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ellen. Any other questions? Don't see any microphone on.
It's Helen again. I do have another question, if no one's wanting to jump in. I just obviously you're three very different science shops, and I just wanted to, because I believe there's like a Hungarian network of science shops. I just wondered like, how do you collaborate? How do you collaborate? How do you work together? I know our partners in Spain, for example, are setting up a sort of Portuguese-Spanish network. So I didn't know whether you have any tips, or yeah, just be interesting to find out a bit about that side of things as well. Thanks. So whoever wants to answer that.
Let me answer that then. So basically, Gyuri Pataki, or György Pataki, he had a very so he played a vital role in establishing our science shop, because they were the ones who invited us to participate in a EU FP7 project. It was called Tarares. And that was the time when we started to deal with participatory action research. Earlier on, we were already activists here, and some of us were academics, but these two fields were separated. I mean, we organized our work based on the same or similar values like sustainability and social justice, but we didn't directly connect research with activism. And for a while, Gyuri and Balázs Bálint, he's also here as far as I see, They played, I would say, an advisor role in this process. They visited us in Szeged a few times. But then this process became basically independent of ESSRG and independent of Gyuri and Balint, more or less. They are still there as supporters, but not as deeply involved researcher activists anymore. And basically, after a while, there were 10 or 15 people, and we founded our CSO, and then we found our science shop identity. And for the moment, as we work in our locality, and ESSRG and Corvinus Science Shop work in other localities, we have no direct links, but we meet regularly. There is a Corvinus Research Week that was mentioned by András, once or sometimes two times a year. And we are also, well, friends with someone closer friends, with someone not as close friends, but we are in a regular informal relationship. We organized conferences together. Corvinus and ESSRG were the main organizers of the last Living Knowledge Network conference. We also participated the same with the Ecological Economic Conference. I would say that we cooperate on a case basis, and we are in regular informal relationship. So we know about each other, and if anything is needed, we can turn to each other.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Giovanna. Hi.
Yes, hi. So maybe you can also see me? Yes, hi. So I have actually a question for the Corvinus Science Shop, which is, yes, quite an interesting story, a success story. I wonder how much do you think this is connected to the fact that there is business area experience in the managing of this initiative in particular? I don't know if you can answer to this question. I mean, it's you think that this is really due at least partially to the fact that you are dealing with business area, also at university?
Tough question. Haven't thought about that. I would rather put it in a way that it was more like that it blended in so nicely, like the needs and the needs of the faculty and the science shop setting was really nicely fitting. Which I think none of the founders had thought about. So I heard from the founders that when they issued the request to the faculty leadership, they were even they were surprised how easily the leadership was buying in this idea of science shop, and it all went quite quick from there. But like, whether it's because of a business school, maybe the dean certainly has a lot of internationalization is very important. The various kind of accreditations that you might be aware of as well are very important, and within these systems and the business school community, social impact generating projects and structures are raisingly important. So I think this contributed, but it also took the leader, and I see that Gyuri wants to contribute.
Yeah, just one, because I was employed.
Okay.
Recently, I just left the university, but I believe that the pedagogical innovation is very much deeply rooted in at the business faculty, and that's why it was very strategic to connect science shop activities into the pedagogical ongoing activities and innovative ideas of the staff, because there the professors, lecturers are very much keen on having real-life problems to be solved by students. And SciShops can connect university teaching to real-life problems, social problems, economic problems. So I think this general, very innovative and open attitude towards real-life problems and solving them, that helped a lot to establish successfully the SciShops.
Yes, actually, I forgot to present myself. So I am, of course, partner of the SciShops project, and I am coordinating this new SciShops based at University of Brescia. But my expertise is in hydraulics. So I'm an engineer, and that's based, the new SciShops is based on a engineering department. And it is focusing on, let's say, sustainable water management in a changing climate, because that's, of course, is my experience, and that's why I accepted to work on this. But yes, I wonder, I think we would need some more expertise dealing with business area directly. It could be helpful. I would like to take the opportunity to say to all the speakers I don't know if they have been already informed, we will have this final symposium of our SciShops project, and we will host it at University of Brescia. It will be the 30th and the 31st of January. And you will soon maybe read the advertising about this, and you will be very welcome if you decide to join us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Giovanna. Other questions? Don't see any microphone. I've got a question. That's probably a very common question, but I was wondering, from all of the projects and the models used, because you mentioned several times that they are about the local area and the region around there. So I guess anyone can answer. Probably Jorge Malovic can answer this, because I find also the project with kids and people having disabilities very interesting. If these models can actually be extended, I don't know if I missed any part from the presentation, if these models can be extended to a greater region, to the whole country, if they can be used to other areas of Hungary as well.
Yes, well, it's a good question. Basically, we work in the locality because of our resources. So we basically do not have resources and energy to work with a wider audience. I'm sure it can be extended. It's a matter of, I think, energy and willingness on one hand. On the other hand, our experience is that the locality is always very, very important, in the sense that basically similar procedures probably should be carried out and institutionalized, because needs, so concerning both segregated communities, concerning both disabled people, and concerning both companies who can employ them, both the demand and supply side is all the time different. So this is how I see it. Probably the processes would be institutionalized elsewhere. I don't think that the results themselves are transmittable, but that's I think characteristic to these cooperative research processes. That basically generalizability or extendability is more related to the process that we can take in place than the results themselves. And I would be very happy if there were similar initiatives at each and every universities. And also there are smaller cities without universities, without employers. So for example, the Mezőcsát sub-region, where ESSRG started their first project, is totally different from the Szeged region, because Szeged is a major city in Hungary with a huge university, with employers, with a lot of university students who can work as volunteers, with a rather strong economy, at least in a Hungarian comparison, while this is all missing in Mezőcsát. So yeah, processes probably are transmittable, not results.
I see. Okay. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Because I see that it's already 12 o'clock. No? Right. If you, I mean, I guess the other people that want to have more questions can actually reach you later with an email. So if you come up with any other questions, or if you want to learn more about the projects, you can contact our speakers. And as Giovanna said, you're very welcome to join us in our symposium in Brescia. And it will be also very nice if you participate in our pitch challenge. I sent you already the advert, and if you need more information, you can contact me, because I saw that you have very nice projects and they can be easily become a video that can be shared. So thanks again very much for these nice presentations. They were very informative and useful. And thanks everyone. Thank you everyone for being here. And we'll speak again soon. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.